Welcome back to another episode of Draft Like a Pro. I'm joined again by my co-host Max. How's it going?
Oh, good. Yeah. Another fun week of football. I'm looking forward to the next.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, as this is a show that's primarily focused on the amateur competitions and with a little bit of a focus on the semi-pro and pro competitions, we need to talk about the changes this week. And today they actually put out another announcement. We're recording this on a Tuesday just after the United game ended, and our boy Andre Onana pulling off a wonderful save. So again, Sorare had this big UI update, but they still do announcements in this tiny, tiny text. Basically, what it says is that they are delaying the change, preventing players like me who have a lot of cards from entering into the free to play. So I'm still out to play the free to play until at least the next international break. But immediately, people who want to play in the semi pro competitions who would have a lot of rares and super rares but just want to go into limited for content creation, for example, like Quinny did once upon a time, and then try giveaway stuff and just do it for content, they are immediately banned. So in theory, this week you've got a better chance with your Billy Gilmore to win something to give away in semi-pro for content.
Yeah. Interesting change.
Yeah,
We'll see if they
yeah, it's
stick
not
to it
happening.
again.
Yeah, so we'll keep up with the content as loud as this is allowed, but there's a chance that this show will come to an end in the future if I'm banned, because like at the end of the day, like when we talk about it, we talk about this a bit like between ourselves about football, but we talk about mostly about the free to play Premier League. Like I won $255 this week in prizes, mostly using value picks from like Brazil and Japan and French League 2. But I don't text you about that. I don't go like, "Hey, my guy Sambu Samano scored a great goal for Rouen." He, yeah, like I
What's his up
specifically remember
to?
what's his L15. His L15 was like 36 a few weeks ago, but he scored like 3 games in a row, and he's up to 44 at the moment.
Um,
And he should. I think he's going to go to the African Cup of Nations and do great. But like I remember as well, actually, after the World Cup, I tried to convince you to get into this. And during the World Cup, you saw that like the Segunda division, a lot of the best players were actually in the Segunda division that ran through the World Cup. And your reaction was, I would rather not, like the reason I don't want to play is I don't want to care about the Segunda division. I don't want to have to research this. And yeah, yeah, I still feel like excluding players like me from playing free to play and making free to play content and playing it with my friends who like the Matrix, like the idea that there's different players viable, but don't want to care about all these minor leagues that just want to watch the Premier League. It's
but most importantly, I don't want to spend money. I think that's the key. They're trying to get players like me to spend money, so they're trying to get us to win
yeah,
cards that are
yeah, but
worth
you
money,
can,
and then you sell the cards, you buy some more, you get invested. Um,
but anyway,
Interesting gambit.
um, yeah, but if I stop playing this, you stop playing this,
Yeah,
and
yeah, 100%.
and so on that note, we are going to go into our review of the game week that just happened.
Mhm.
So this is what went this week. So first of all, shout out to Charlie Dunbar, SR Dunbar, who edits these videos. Got 18th place overall with this crazy lineup. He won a Destiny Udoji that's worth about 20 euros. And yeah, crazy thing. So first of all, last week our big topic was Julian Alvarez. He's being subbed off early. We can't get a read on City anymore. We're all going to avoid City from now on. And of course, Pep Guardiola played him for 90 minutes and he scores the winning goal. And Charlie Dunbar didn't listen to us.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
that looks like a really expensive team too. He must have some nice
he must.
coverage, and I'd say he picked up a lot of these players early.
Yeah, that's what we were all going for. That I was going for, saying that hey, Fabio Vieira is going to be 40 points now, but it's going to be more in the future. He's going to displace Havertz, but it didn't really work out for me. But what we did do though this week, we both got Onana in at 40 points. This midweek, he just got a 91. So if you do want to get Onana, even though he's got a terrible fixture this week, to get him in at 40 points is a great shout. So that you have to afford all the top players. And yeah, at one point this week we were texting. I said that hey, I've had a great start. That I'm actually 50 points ahead of you, But I've got Kulusevski left, and you've got Madison captain left. Kulusevski got me 34 points and completely ruined my lineup, while Madison got you 143 points, and you didn't just beat me; you beat me by 60 or by 55 points.
I've been saying it the whole time. You know, Madison. He belongs on the so rare field. He's quality and he's built for this game.
Yeah, his passing output was really, really impressive. Even though I watched the game, Spurs didn't have that much of the ball. They did have their moments. They did create a lot of chances, but their two goals were from a Bassi mistake. And I do feel like if Fulham had have had a full complement, that we had Issa Diop or Tosin beside Tim Ream instead of Bassi, that we could have got a draw out of this game. But yeah, 17 final third passes, 5 penalty entries, 4 attempted assists, 2 shots on goal. Crazy return in a game where, yeah, Spurs didn't weren't dominant in possession or anything like that. They just created chances really, really fast and really, really precisely. And yeah, I think that's a very common theme and one of the top people overall, that they just all have Madison and Trippier
And Trippier
knocking
is
about.
important too. I think Trippier has been in crazy form ever since Newcastle had that fixture flip, where the first 4 or 5 games of the season they had something like 3 points maybe, and they conceded in every game. And since then, I think have they conceded a goal? They've maybe conceded one or in one game, and Trippier has been getting assists every game. I think any FPL
Yeah.
player would also have picked him up at this stage if they.
Yeah, 12 penalty area entries is so much
That's
that every single free kicks
yeah,
that they get, he's passing, he's getting it in. And then if you
and
look
he's
at
creating chances with the free kicks. Like his set piece delivery is so impressive.
21 points in possession, he's got his clean sheet in. Yeah, even with the yellow card, still putting up an 88. Crazy, crazy. So we're going to swap now and look ahead to the upcoming game week. And this game week is crazy. So if you're an FPL head like us, we're looking at these odds and we're seeing that there's 8 teams with more than a 50% chance of winning according to the bookies. This is bench boost material. There's going to be a lot of big scores next week. And so, first off, I guess we need to talk about the biggest one, Arsenal versus Sheffield. I think you have to expect Arsenal with a big victory here. Which Arsenal players are you going in for? I know you subbed in Martinelli last week.
Yeah, I think Martinelli is definitely a keep. Obviously, there are some obvious picks. I think is Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard. Outside of that, like maybe Ben White. I think you'd have to back the attack though against Sheffield
Yeah,
United. Sheffield United, we've seen them concede what was it, 7 or 8 goals in a game this season. It's possible. Obviously, they didn't concede a lot of goals last week against Manchester United, but uh, they're kind of like that. They just win the odd game by 1 goal. Arsenal, like Spurs, are pretty good for winning by a few goals so far this season. So, yeah, I think Arsenal are a good
yeah.
team to back.
Yeah, according to my notes here, Saka's 70 points is an extremely expensive captain, but second highest tier besides Salah, who's also, well, Salah's at 71. So these two guys, very expensive, but considered to be the best captains. Ben
Mm,
White's at 52. That's a good value if you do want the Arsenal exposure. And then I think Gabriel Jesus at 41 is a really nice value pick. That Saka's coming up, or not Saka, sorry, and Nketiah's coming up down here, but Jesus is more likely to start from what I can see.
yeah,
41 points for Jesus is a nice value pick.
he just scored
Um,
as well in the Champions League, so I think he scored the winning goal.
oh, did he? That means he's going up as well. I actually didn't catch the Arsenal game. I was just watching the Man United game.
Mhm.
Um, so Villa, Watkins at 61, third here. Seems like a nice premium pick that maybe if you don't have the budget for Salah or Saka, you can go into Watkins captain. Everyone's also been talking about Douglas Luiz. He's at 65. He's been knocking out some 100 pointers on penalties. And but One last thing I want to mention as well is that Zaniolo is only at 39, but he's not in the game. And I'd like if Sorare would kind of focus on getting in these players that are not in the game versus tinkering with the other rules. And then also Matty Cash, you have him from the start. He's your 40-point pick, and he's all the way up to a 46 L15. And are you going to play him this week?
Yeah, definitely. I think he should be higher too. I think like he's had chances. I think we talked about it last week. He's been a bit unfortunate not to score a few goals. So playing against Luton this week, I think anyone playing FPL knows Ollie Watkins kind of scary not to own at the moment. I don't have him on my team at the moment. I've been trying to find space for him, but it seems like the only way to get him is to get rid of Haaland. But yeah, I think backing Villa this week, Villa are another team like Arsenal who you'd fancy to score a lot of goals on their day. They did last week. It's highly likely they will again this week. Yeah, Cash definitely going straight into my team.
Cool. And then Liverpool, same odds against Nottingham Forest, 80% chance to win. And I should emphasize that in the top leagues, anything above 75 is really unusual. To have three fixtures like this just really speaks to the reality of the Premier League this season, that there's like a massive gulf in class. So obviously, first pick is Salah at 71. Yeah, and then I got Shabashlai is 58. They're both in my team from last week. They're both going straight into my lineup. I think a fun value pick could be Luis Diaz at 41. Again, it's hard to predict their front three, but I do like Luis Diaz. He is kind of cheap. Anyone catching your eye at Liverpool?
I think Darwin's had good output recently. I think he's very likely to play because he came off and had a big impact last weekend. Yeah, and he's
Gakpo's still
been
injured.
good in internationals as well. So it's Jota's there or thereabouts, but I reckon it'll be Darwin in the middle, and then yeah, it could be either Jota or what was his name? Diaz, yeah, on the left.
Diaz.
I reckon Diaz is a really good pick at 40 though, especially for the next 2 weeks because Liverpool play Luton next week too. I think even off the bench he could score high. So yeah, nice pick.
Okay, Brighton and Fulham. And obviously Fulham on my team. I'm the number one limited collector in last season. I'm looking to get number one rare collector this season. And Fulham, yeah, we've got injuries in the back. And we had basically 2 hours left to go by Bassi. We don't have Diop. We don't have Tosin to fill in for him. We only have 2 centre backs away to Brighton. On the plus side is that Brighton are going to be in Europe this week and Fulham are not. That's kind of one string of hope I'm holding on to. But I really don't see a way that Fulham get a result here. And players I've picked out, Pascal Gross at 59 is very expensive. But if you want to be really differential, he could be worth a go. Mitoma at 49, I think is pretty nice. Again, you're kind of banking the fact though that he wasn't in the Japanese squad, never mind, but he will be playing midweek. Would he be playing the 90 minutes against Fulham? Probably. But I think Milner is interesting value at 40 points, that if you need a midfielder at 40 points, Milner could be an interesting pick. Anyone that you're thinking of at Brighton? Maybe.
To be honest, I think Brighton are so unpredictable. It's really hard to pick them this season, especially all the injuries they have. I know Fulham, like obviously, were a bit shambolic, especially one particular centre half over the weekend. But I don't know. Brighton are just so hard. Like Ferguson would maybe be a nice pick. He's not been on the best form this season, but we know that he can. Obviously, no bias from an Irish perspective. We know that he can just pick up a game and grab it by the scruff of its neck, score a hat trick. Maybe this is his game. Matoma, I think you can't really look past if you're looking at Brighton. Brighton have really nice fixtures as well. I think their next 5 or 6, they could go on a run if they're okay with the injuries and the European football. If they get the luck, I guess, as well. Yeah, those would be my main picks. I'd say Ferguson, Matoma. Gross is a nice one, but like you mentioned, he's pretty expensive. So Milner too is a very cheap option and pretty much guaranteed to play with all the injuries they have. So yeah, we'll see how it goes for them. I think I wouldn't be rushing to get them in, but if they have a good week against Fulham, then yeah, it's open season.
Well, the next up is Chelsea against Brentford. I'm surprised how high they are. They've kind of started to pull it together after a really, really bad start. Like this is the kind of stretch where people were saying that, hey, like Chelsea, now they have to play Arsenal, they have to play all these good teams, they had the easiest start, and they got a result against Arsenal. And now they're up against Brentford, which is probably their easiest fixture for a while. So if you do pick up some Chelsea players, you are picking it up pretty much for this week and then to get ship on next week, which there's nothing wrong with. You can change 3 out of 8 players each week. My notes, Enzo at 59. I do love Enzo. I've been thinking a bit about the Golden Boy, and I just know Jude Bellingham's going to win it because he plays for Real Madrid, but I still think Enzo deserves it for his World Cup performance. 59. Gusto at 42 is a nice pick in defense. And then Mudryk at 43 was actually the pick you told me about.
Yeah.
You got to get a Mudryk.
He scored a spectacular goal that was absolutely intentional against Arsenal. So I think he'll start. I think, Pochettino has a lot of faith in him. So I wouldn't write him off so much as maybe people were earlier in the season and at the end of last season. He has a chance to put on a good run of games. I think Chelsea have some Midland fixtures. They have some tough games, some easier coming up as well. I wouldn't be rushing to get Chelsea. They have looked pretty solid defensively, though, apart from the couple of goals they conceded against Arsenal as of recently. I think they don't have Europe. Most of their team is coming back to fitness. They have James coming back in as well, as you mentioned, Gusto. They could be good. A few defenders that could be nice picks. Robert Sanchez obviously had the howler over the weekend, but otherwise he's probably been their best player this season. And at 50, he could be worth looking into. He's guaranteed to get some opportunities to make saves anyway. I don't know. I think Mudryk is a nice pick. I think Sanchez is worth considering. Otherwise, I wouldn't be crazy about Chelsea. There's some really nice fixtures this week, so putting focus on Chelsea is probably not.
Yeah, we're hunting for hundreds this week. It's kind of hard to see them in Chelsea. Also, kind of hard to see them at City. I do love Haaland against United. He scored a hat against them last year. He could always be a fun pick. Doku, guy I love, have his limited, but I have his Ren limited because he's not in the game and you can't pick up Doku. So please include him soon, Sorare. And other than that, Ederson got dropped. I was so happy at the end that I got in Onana last week for Ederson. I did it just to get the points, but Ederson got dropped. Well, not dropped. He got left out. You can't predict what Pep is doing. If you have Alvarez, you want to do what SR Dimebar did and ignore us and keep Alvarez and finish really high up the ranks, go for it. But I'm too much this week to go for me to consider any City players.
Ortega's 40.
I would not play the game with Ortega. I'd get Onana again because Onana just scored a 91 in this midweek, so he's going to shoot way up. You're not going to be able to give him 40 points again this season. And having keepers at 40 points is, I think, really, really important just to be able to get all your points in the outfield. So moving swiftly on, Newcastle. So obviously Trippier is killing it. Everyone at the top has Trippier. You have Trippier. You going for Trippier again this week, or do you have room with Matty Cash?
No, I think both. It'll be silly not to pick Trippier this week. He's scoring like crazy. Newcastle's front three has become a little bit unpredictable. I'm getting a little like Murphy had such a good game at the weekend. I'd be a little bit concerned maybe Gordon might lose a spot to Isaac. So I'm not sure about Gordon for this week, but Trippier, I'd definitely back. And we're also watching this before the Champions League match against Dortmund. So that could have an impact on who might be selected, but Trippier has to be in, guaranteed. Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah.
Any other Newcastle players in your mind?
Nick Pope. A lot of people have Nick Pope, and he's doing really well.
Yeah,
Uh, Statistically, he's a great goalkeeper. I feel like I need to get a keeper in this week because I'm sitting still on Pickford and Onana, just two 40-point keepers. But I think we see here United are a little far down there, 22% chance against City. I don't want to play Onana there. Don't really want to play Pickford against West Ham. So I'm going to be I want to be swapping out a keeper this week. And yeah, I have the budget for Pope. So I'm going to go for Pope. And then I think our last team was going to be Tottenham, we're going to talk about. And about this man here, James Madison. First of all, he's absolutely killing it. Everyone on the top has Madison. You still have Madison.
yeah,
Yeah. I also have I have Kulishevsky. I decided, hey, last week I heard Son might be injured on international duty. Gonna keep a Kulishevsky over him, and kind of bit me that one. So I think Kulishevsky is going to be leaving my team this week. I did not like the look of him against Fulham, and so yeah, Son, Madison, Vicario was so good,
yeah.
but yeah, they are all the fixtures I'm thinking of.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's pretty well covered. I think it's funny we speak about all the fixtures. So much emphasis is going to be on those top three, on Liverpool, Villa, and Arsenal. Um, Everyone's going to be getting Arsenal and Villa players this week. So yeah,
Yep, yep. Everyone includes me, except I'm not going for Villa players. I'm going to be going for. So first of all, again, we're recording this on Tuesday. Last week we recorded on Wednesday, so I don't have my three swaps at the moment. I'll get it tomorrow. But Kulishevsky out, Gabriel Jesus in, save 7 points. Dallo out against City. He got his goal. I was happy enough with the call last week on Dallo. He is very expensive, but saved the money on Onana. And I'm actually getting in Ben White at 52. So we're going to be having Jesus and White. And then, as I said, I wanted a better keeper. So Pickford will be leaving and Pope will be joining. And this is another thing in the UI that when you pick your team for the first time, you've got a nice big graphic and you have to show it off. In this UI, we still have the slider. So another request is, Sorare, please give us a nice, pretty draft pick instead of tinkering with who can play amateur or not. So, yeah, do you want to share your screen there?
I see that
We
you
can see.
swapped Dallo for Nick Pope.
Yeah. So I was explaining that in the shop when you buy the extra swap, it has a 7-day cooldown, and so we
Okay,
recorded
so
this
you have to
last week
wait.
on Wednesday. So I have to wait till tomorrow to lock this in.
Nice. Yeah, I can share mine and show you. So, oh, wrong screen.
Infinite jump there.
Yeah. You see it?
Yeah, we can see.
There we go. So my picks for this week, I'm going to be getting rid of Mason Mount. It looks like he doesn't have a chance of getting into the team at the moment. Too much depth in terms of midfielders. I'm also dropping Sam Johnston. He had one really good game for me against, let me have a look. Yeah, against Nottingham Forest. He had a really, really nice game, 85 points. Against Newcastle, he scored 14. Newcastle were pretty rampant, and Sam Johnson is playing at Spurs this week, who look even more rampant. So I don't think he's the best pick. Coming in for him, I have Areola. He's looked pretty good this season. Everton, not the best team for scoring goals. West Ham have a pretty good run of fixtures as well. So I like him. Rotation with Onana. That could be a nice keeper to have for a little while anyway. And then I have Harvey Elliott, who won't be playing this week, but we'll see if he plays. Next week, they have Luton, I believe. So could be a good value pick for Luton. And then my team selection. So I'm going to take Onana out for Areola, as I mentioned. I'll have Trippier, and I'll be taking Gordon, since I'm not 100% sure that he'll start, out for Cash. And this week, I'm going to be stepping away from Madison as captain for the first time in probably like 6 weeks to go for Martinelli as captain. I think he's on for a big week, or at least I'm hoping. And that's my team.
Cool. And then you've got Premier League kickoff there as well. So we're putting a lot of effort to make sure that a lot of the big fish can't get in this anymore. So we might as well be looking in here. Your boy Billy Gilmore has a nice fixture against Fulham.
Yeah.
His L15 is down because he's sub for Scotland.
He's also, I think he's been dropped for a couple of games. Yeah, he's not been playing so much recently, but I think rotation, he's got a good chance of coming back in with the injuries. So
yeah, and especially as well, Europe. Don't have to see what happens in Europe, but Brighton are big favourites. Although I don't back anyone against Paulinho. Like it's crazy how good he is. Like as far as dominant as Spurs were, Paulinho had like 5 completed tackles and generally stopped them from doing anything they wanted in the midfield. So Brighton should beat Fulham, but I still think Paulinho will score great. So anyway, that's it for this week. We will catch you guys next week. And good luck to everyone in the SO5. Again, in our October league, we are still going on. If you have a great score, feel free to join it. I think Charlie Dunbar, SR Dunbar, has this locked up, and he's going to be winning the Vitaly Mikalenko. But yeah, next week is the last week of it. And catch you guys next week. Peace.